Farm Progress Broadcast presents This Week in Agribusiness, serving America's most essential industry. Brought to you by Case IH, solutions for every challenge, equipment for every farm. Case IH, built by farmers.
Hello everyone, and thanks for joining us here for This Week in Agribusiness. Spring is in the air and farmers are amped up to get in and get those crops planted. The USDA reported last week that Texas is 57% completed with their corn planting, and states north of them are going to get underway shortly. Joining us now for a planting update is meteorologist Greg Soulje. Greg, as you look out over the remainder of the month of April, what do you expect to see weather-wise?
Well, kind of a weakening process to El Nino is well underway. Jet stream should begin to reflect that here. And we think in the next probably 10 to 15 to 18 days, a marked change in the weather pattern will have taken place. And here's sort of a snapshot of the remainder of April. Note how the jet stream winds are in from a west to east orientation. The big upper air troughs through California, the southern plains into the Ohio Valley replaced with this setup. So soil temperatures and air temperatures, well, it's back to normal here across much of the heartland, the Corn Belt. Warmth, if you will, over this part of the country. Boy, things are well ahead of schedule with ornamental trees, areas of flowering trees and shrubs, and crop progress as well in this particular part of the country, and warmth across areas from the Missouri on westward. Back into dry time, though, this is not unusual in mid to late April. El Nino winding down as well for the south and western states, and there's some added drought relief, and we'll take it for these winter wheat fields across the central and southern plains down through Dixie and the southeastern states. But again, a noticeable change, Mike, into a less frequent outbreak of moisture, we'll put it that way, for much of the Corn Belt and Midwest too.
Let's move us into May. We'll be really running hard with planting by the time we get into there. Greg, are temperatures going to be favorable?
Yeah, they will. There's no real super cold air in sight. We'll get these little tentacles of cold that drop in through the Sioux, the northeast, and New England, but they are on a retreatment to the north and northeast. Again, generally speaking, it's kind of a west or west-northwest to east-southeast jet stream pattern. These big upper troughs, these what we call high and large latitude, full longitude type systems where they buckle up and down across the country. That is out with an additional weakening of El Nino. Warmth over the western and southern states down through Dixie and in through Florida as well. So much of the heartland, the plains, the Corn Belt, temperatures kind of where they need to be. And same with precip. Now, as you get into May, that's about anywhere from a half to maybe a little shy of 3/4 of an inch of moisture. So a more normalized moisture, including parts of the northern and central plains, central Corn Belt, a little wetter into the Ohio Valley, eastern states, back to dry time for Oklahoma, Texas, and the western reaches of the country. So again, no big headlines, Mike, as we head through a good part of the month of May. Ought to be able to move forward here in outdoor work and fieldwork operations.
Take us into the month of June. Greg, does that favorable weather for most of the Corn Belt continue all the way into June?
It really does. No real excitement in order, maybe a slight north and eastward progression to the warm, to the hot, the summertime ridge. Not unusual. Cool puddle of air across areas of the Sioux, the southeastern sections of the Canadian Prairie. If you were to open up a meteorology textbook and take a look at kind of the steering currents for average or normal and typical stuff for mid to late spring, this is what you'll see. So the atmosphere kind of moving back into a neutral state. Same with the ocean waters, back to average across areas of the Pacific. So you come up with this moisture pattern. Not too bad where you need more moisture into the wheat country, far western and southern Corn Belt, down through Dixie, the southeastern part of the country. A little dry through the upper Midwest, Great Lakes areas, but about normal for moisture across the Corn Belt locales. Mike will need to keep an eye as well for areas of the Canadian Prairie with perhaps additional dryness and drought expanding there as the week wears on. We'll take a look at the full forecast, including the 4-weeker, coming on up.